La 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 la. Ooh ooh ooh. Ah.
Murdering children.
Hey,
Anti-religion.
there was no child murder.
Except for the 16.
Yeah, didn't they say he killed like 16 people?
Well, I mean, besides those, we didn't see them. They don't exist. So yeah. Out of sight, out of mind.
Nah, I like it. I like
Yeah.
the approach to that.
So this was fun.
I don't like. That movie drained me. That was such a freaking adrenaline rush, like throughout that whole final like hour.
Yeah.
Well, we thought it had been 2 days, and it had been 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Like for a 2.5 hour long movie, like a lot happens at every point in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my God. And Hugh Jackman, dude. He was
He's good in everything. He's just good in everything.
I just love that the Wolverine came out just a little bit in some of those what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, he went a little ape shit on a kid.
Yeah. I almost felt bad for him.
Yeah.
I didn't feel bad for anyone in this film ever. They all needed to die. I wanted
all of them.
I wanted everybody,
Even the
except
small abducted girls that this whole thing was started for.
well, they would have been killed.
If it wasn't for that meddling Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jesus.
And your stupid dog too.
They did not pull masks off of anyone to reveal a previously introduced character that they thought was good and wholesome.
It turns out his aunt was actually Old Man Crothers. Hey, would have gotten away with it too.
Or like Ted Bundy's sister.
This whole movie was a Scooby-Doo mystery.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Where are the children? We're getting kind of concerned because it's been 6 days now. Statistics say they're dead, but I'm not sure.
Please don't give up hope now.
Gonna go torture some more now.
Jesus Christ.
You know I got a guy inside a shower and I can turn the water really hot.
or cold, but they only use the hot water.
They only use the hot feature.
I 100% approved of that type of torture method.
Yeah, I mean,
No, that poor kid. I wanted to see his the aftermath of his flesh burned off of his body
just
from
absolutely
scorching
destroyed.
heat.
Well, it said the he was reunited with his family, so he survived.
Yeah, like
Barely.
he lived, but like, my God.
Well, we never
Must have
said
been in
anything about
hospital.
the quality of his life after his 3-day shower.
So he is probably blind, and I don't mean to say like demeaning way, but like
They made
from
him
from the poison, and then his skin has been burned off of his body, and he's probably in constant pain all of the time. So
yeah,
That's what you get if your aunt's the serial child murderer.
Mm-hmm.
honestly, Hugh Jackman would have given him a better life if he would have just killed him. And then because then at least he probably doesn't have to deal with 1,000 broken bones and psychological damage from one being drugged for most of your life.
I feel like witnessing your adoptive parents murder children in the high teens after he gets off those drugs, unless they completely broke him.
if I were him, I'd kill myself.
Yes, this. I feel like he's got no other course of action left in life.
Well, I wonder too why that the other kid that was drawing the mazes, he probably did that for the same reason.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
Just
I think they said he was the first kid they took.
Yeah, it's gotta be rough.
Well, that was and he was taken from that home
Yeah.
that was in the same neighborhood or whatever.
I think so.
Yeah.
It was just a few houses within jogging distance, because
Because well, I mean, you can't base this on Jake Gyllenhaal or Hugh Jackman. They're both very in shape. They could probably run to most things, and it would be in the same neighborhood.
Well, I mean, still within the human limits, but yes.
I don't know, man. I've seen Hugh Jackman. He's got knives in his knuckles.
Good thing you didn't pull him out for this.
God, that ant would have talked so much faster if he would have used his claws.
That ant.
Yeah, if he just got close enough, all he'd have to do.
I knew something was fishy with that woman.
Yeah, like I just don't get why he was worried about getting shot. He's made of adamantium.
Michael did call the ant being
yeah, I mean, you kind of picked this out from the beginning. You're like, I
early
don't like
on.
that ant.
I don't
You're
like
like,
her.
I want her thumbs or something.
I wanted when they locked her son in the shower and trying to find different ways to talk. I said, bring him a piece of his ant.
A doozy.
This is a doozy. This is more than a doozy. This is heavy. This is heavy.
Well, I guess let's just get into it then. And,
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
This is not going to be our typical intro.
this is not.
We are all very sad and emotionally exhausted.
Oh my god! Welcome to every film in the book.
Welcome.
I'm depressed.
Where sometimes we pick movies that drain us. And we're doing this all for you.
Oh my god.
I hope you're happy.
Actually, if you're happy after this one,
Then you might be a little fucked in the head, I gotta say.
Yeah.
if you enjoyed this movie and you have pet snakes, we have a problem.
Well, yeah.
Give us your address. We're coming to talk.
We're putting you on a naughty list.
This isn't a movie you can say, I enjoyed that movie. But it is a movie that you can say that you were, I don't know, entertained. I don't even know if you could say entertained
I was
by.
invested.
Invested is a good word.
But I guess we should say we did Prisoners this week. It's a movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman and a couple other people. It was I don't know the guy's name, but he played the Riddler in the most recent Batman movie.
But yeah, I mean the name also doesn't. It didn't match in my head of what actually happened in this movie.
It doesn't really.
It made half sense until the end,
Right.
and then the plural made sense in a different matter, in a different manner. So it made sense up until they gave you the whole movie,
Right.
and then it made even more sense and was now looking back, what an apt description and movie title for this film.
Right, it's one of those things you don't realize until after you watched it. But going into it, you're like, what? This doesn't make any sense.
Who's the prisoners?
Yeah.
Is it the kids? Is it Hugh Jackman? Who will be prisoning?
Hey. Giving stuff away already, Steve.
Oh, dude, all of it. But, yeah, no, this, oh my God. Like, this was just one of those, I was scrolling through the internet and happened to see, like, a story where it was, you know, the most underrated movie came out here and like nobody saw it, and like it's like emotionally crazy, the story's insane, like it's one of the most like, you know, like anxiety inducing things, and I was like, nah, it can't be that good. Or like
most of those articles are nonsense.
Yeah, because
Right.
it's like that BuzzFeed garbage. It's just meant for you to click on it and
The scariest movie of 2020 or something.
yeah, and then you watch it and you're like, all right, so it's
This was a B
2 hours
minus.
of jump scares. Like
Yeah.
what the hell?
Do you know when this came out, Steve?
That I don't.
2013.
Oh yes,
Okay.
2013.
Yeah, I haven't seen it before until this. I mean, none of us have.
Okay, so as an avid movie enthusiast of all genres, I feel like out of the three of us, I watch more types of films.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed that I didn't know this movie existed.
Yeah.
Right.
But after viewing it, I'm okay with being a full-grown adult with a fully formed brain, because this would have negatively impacted my growth as a human being. If you watch this movie too early, you're gonna be in jail.
You're gonna be in jail. What are you gonna start like taking?
How fast did we agree with some of the bad things that happened in this film? Now, the bad things happened to the right people, but they were still terrible things that I would not wish on my worst enemy unless they were murdering children. And even then, some of what they were doing was a little bit over the top.
I mean, sometimes a nice hot shower can really, relax you after a tough day.
All my showers for the rest of my life will be cold. I am never taking a hot shower ever again because I will
outside.
Curl up into a ball for the runtime of this film.
Which is 2.5 hours, by the way.
And somehow I will feel like I deserved it.
You had this coming, Michael. I knew it.
Right? It's like, I know I've done something bad in my life. You deserve this.
You should have just said yes when your mom asked if you wanted oatmeal. Should have just ate it.
Right?
I deserve this hot shower.
You'll start nitpicking your behavior of your entire life. And watching this movie in the right mindset, you might become a better person.
I think it's
or you
just
might be a psychopath.
Drag either way.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
don't think your mood is going to change it. But yeah, I mean, this movie really does just start off with it pretty much goes right into it's Thanksgiving and there's two families meeting up. They're just friends, we assume, and their little girls go outside to play and they go missing, and it opens up really as like this child abduction sort of case.
Right.
The only thing that anyone saw was an RV outside, and it's suspected that whoever had this RV took the girls.
Right.
But you do get 6 minutes of normal.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it.
Yeah.
For the entire 2 hours and 24 minutes left.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, hey, look how nice these people were before their daughters went missing. Now look at them after their daughters went missing and see how much they've changed.
Well, yeah, it really goes into the parents like losing their minds over what just happened, which is
understandable.
Totally understandable.
Yeah. But also a good decision of keeping that intro to we know what wholesome families look like in films. You know what I mean? And they gave us that very quickly. They were singing songs, playing an instrument. It's Thanksgiving. They're celebrating it with their friends. And that's great. They know the audience. Okay, two wholesome families. We need the other 2 hours and change in order to unfold this story in a way that is really gripping.
Yeah,
Right.
they had so much to unpack that they couldn't spend too much time on that.
Yeah, but after their daughters go missing, Hugh Jackman kind of, starts getting a little amped up, like almost right away, because Jake Gyllenhaal gets put on the case, and from the first interaction with Hugh and Jake, he's already like cursing up a storm. He's like, "Where the fuck is my daughter? Like, why aren't you, doing more? Why aren't you out there? Why are you asking me questions?" Like, like I get why he's so angry. But, like, at the same time, you still got to let the cop do his job. Like, he kind of just showed up, and he's like, all right, so, just tell me what happened. And he was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, okay, so the reason why he starts to flip out is because they pretty much immediately find the RV, and they find this, what do you think, he's like late teens, early 20s or something,
yeah, probably
kid.
like 20s.
Who,
young man.
Yeah, who, I keep calling him a kid, but he is in the RV, and they take him in, they question him, they can't get any information out of him, they can't prove that he took the girls, he's denying everything, but they do say that he doesn't really speak well, he has like the mind of a 10-year-old is what I think they say. So when Jake Gyllenhaal reports this back to Hugh Jackman and the families saying, this guy didn't do it, that's really when Hugh Jackman is like, what do you mean he didn't do it?
Right.
Because he's trying to cling on to the fact that this is the guy who did it. He wants a confession.
Yeah, he's looking for an easy out.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, the RV's the same, so that means this person did it.
Right. So I understand why he starts to get upset, but he just spirals and goes like all in on this kid being the one who abducted them.
Well, like the thing that gets me is like when Jake Gyllenhaal is first in the house and he's like talking to Hugh Jackman's wife, he almost doesn't seem like interested in the case. Like he's, texting on his phone, like she's asking him questions and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention." I'm like, what'd you say? So like I almost thought they were gonna kind of do like that lazy cop kind of like trope where he's not like fully invested in like, the investigation. Like he's like, I could be doing other stuff. I could be stopping drug dealers and like this stuff. But like
it is Thanksgiving Day.
Right.
And we never really see whether or not he has a family. I don't really notice a wedding ring on dudes. Like that's not what I'm looking for.
He didn't have
He
one.
does. He kind of looks scary.
Yeah. But yeah, he didn't have a wedding ring. He had a ring on his pinky finger on his left hand.
One thing I did notice was he had a little bit of, and I have no idea about Jake Gyllenhaal's life, so this could be just how he is. And
are you gonna say the twitch?
The eye twitch.
So
Yeah.
his eyebrows kind of go.
He like blinks.
And
I noticed it happened a lot more like intensely during like high stress situations. So like when he's first
processing
getting like
stuff.
dressed down by Hugh Jackman, like in this scene, his eyes are twitching more and his face is more like quick to the jitters.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of a mix of like stress and exhaustion because it happens more later on when he's probably been awake for almost 7 days straight.
Yeah.
There's not much sleeping.
No.
Yeah,
that
no,
happens.
they really push the limits on how
except
late
for-
they can stay up.
Except for Hugh Jackman's wife. She takes a nap for
The whole
78% of the film.
Yeah.
And it's a prescription drug helped sleepy time, but she's still sleeping the whole time.
Yeah. Dude, I would love to have that role in a movie. It's like, what do you need me to do?
Sleep.
Just be asleep, man. You're gonna be in a bed 90% of your scenes.
I would hate doing nothing in the movie. It's like, well, am I doing nothing correctly? I feel like I can be sleeping better. Should I be sleeping this way?
But this movie basically goes into two main plots, I guess, where we're following Hugh Jackman and then we're following Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right.
And you see the cop side where they're trying to figure out what's going on, and you see Hugh Jackman go down his path, which I think is kind of what leads into next
And
here.
Yeah.
Us as the viewer, we're privy to inside cop information and inside Hugh Jackman information,
Yeah.
which really, I think that did a good job in the story of, we want them both to be right and we want them both to do good, but they're going about it in such a different way and with such a different mindset that we're almost equally angry with both back and forth.
Right.
Like we're just like, okay, well, dude, you should be looking for, okay, Hugh Jackman, this is not acceptable behavior. We go back and forth between those things, but it's like they're both trying to do the same thing.
You shouldn't be torturing people like that.
Right? This is not okay.
Yeah. But also, as the viewer, we get to see both sides of the coin, and we get to see when something happens, and a lot of times both parties are not on the same page, and they're not seeing the same stuff happen. So I don't think at any point the full story is revealed to either side, but
Right. But from here, Hugh Jackman is so convinced that this kid who is driving the RV is responsible. He's following him to his house. He's watching him at night, and he sees this kid, lift the dog he's walking up by its knee.
I didn't
Just
like
like
that.
almost out of nowhere. And, he follows him down the sidewalk with a gun. And from there, it cuts to black. And next thing you know, Hugh Jackman's at his neighbor's house, and he's like, "Hey, come with me. I need to show you something."
Did you bring a change of clothes like I asked? And I was like, oh, we're going to do some murdering.
Listen,
That's
Michael,
a classic.
if you ever called me and you said, "Hey, Steve, meet me outside in like 20 minutes, bring a change of clothes," I either think we're in for the the best dinner of our lives where they're like throwing food at us, and
you're like, oh, should I bring something nice like a suit? And Michael's like, no.
It's either a strip club or a lot of felonies in a short amount of time.
You bring a change of clothes to the strip club?
Well, if you don't want to smell like
just glitter and bad,
we can get into that later.
That's for a different episode.
But I do like how they didn't show him be abducted, just like they didn't show the kids be abducted.
Right.
I feel like that was a good decision to leave both out. Not that it leaves kidnapping to your imagination. They both got stuffed in a vehicle and taken somewhere they didn't want to go.
You can assume what happened.
We get the basics of kidnapping. but
it doesn't leave much to the imagination.
Take the person against their will. That happened to
tie them up,
to quite a few people.
Your trunk. We know the steps.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm losing my mind.
So he brings the neighbor to this old abandoned property. That
the neighbor is his best friend that they were having Thanksgiving with.
Yeah,
yes. So he brings the neighbor and shows him that, hey, I have the kid. He definitely took our kids. Like, we need to hurt him until he tells us like where they are.
That's verbatim. We need to hurt him until he tells us.
And he basically says, like, listen, after the first 24 hours, like, that's a problem. This is day 2. We're already like on borrowed time. Like, we need to get something out of him.
Yeah. Actually, hasn't it been several days at that point? Because they held him at the police station for 48 hours, which is what they were allowed to do.
Right.
And then one more day went by, and then they got him.
He doesn't kidnap him right off the bat.
Yeah.
Due process of the law. There was no physical evidence in the camper. There was nothing on the young man with mental deficiencies himself. He was questioned. The parents took a lie detector to make sure they weren't lying about kidnapping their own children. So they ask, well, was he given a lie detector? Well, he was, but then they explain, since he's mentally deficient, lie detectors don't work if he doesn't understand the questions, and we have no idea what this young man understands or doesn't understand.
Right.
So they have to release him. Hugh Jackman's not happy about it. He grabs a hold of him when he's leaving. And then this is where I do not care what happened to this young man afterwards.
Michael hated this kid.
This guy, first of all, this actor is fantastic. I love this guy.
Yeah.
It's not my fault that he plays garbage human beings in movies that deserve to die. Like, every film he's in, he plays someone that's getting crapped on, and it's usually his fault. But
he gets the shit.
Yeah, he gets it bad in this film. But like I said, don't care. That's on him. Because as soon as he whispers to Hugh Jackman, what does he say? He says they didn't cry until I left them. And this immediately, as you know, Hugh Jackman's not happy with his daughter being kidnapped, and now he's even more angry. And then he did that to the dog, and that just reinforced my I don't like you.
Right.
And now he's kidnapped. His best friend or neighbor comes with him, who is reluctant at first. Like, he's pretty squeamish.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't want to.
Yeah.
I will say, I want to come back to that line about they didn't cry until I left them later on. Because now that comes up again, I think it has. It definitely has a different meaning after seeing it.
Yeah, just like the title, the significance changes with information later on down the road.
But yeah, so all that to say that this kid, everybody assumes did it. And he does seem suspicious, and, it's hard to say at that point. I was under the impression, I guess, that he was an accomplice with somebody else. Like, the whole time I was thinking that this was like a team, a duo, who maybe he was just convenient for his access to RVs. I don't know.
Right? He's just the guy that has
Everybody's
the...
got
He just
that one
has the
friend.
RV.
He just has the RV. All
and
right.
that there was
All
a
right.
mastermind behind it, which soon after they do find another suspect. So that's the next guy that Jake Gyllenhaal has a confrontation with. So they have like a candlelit vigil for the girls.
Yeah, like this is after a couple days of them torturing
And-
this kid.
Oh yeah, he's been just locked up.
And
in
they,
this house.
I guess, after 4 days, they just assume, well, odds are most likely they're dead.
Yeah.
If we haven't found them yet,
And
we're
they-
going to be finding bodies.
They have that conversation at different time milestones in the film throughout, and we're just gonna have to gloss over like there's no way we can talk about every point in this film
Yeah,
because it would be longer than the runtime of the film because it was insane.
Yeah.
But we do see our next I would say main character, but we're not quite sure yet. They tease a lot of stuff very well, or only give tidbits of information, or skew your perception with the story, and they do that very well. And that's something I really liked about this film, being the first watch,
Right.
was we're sure about it, we're unsure about it. The young man, for instance, he's suspicious, but he's also handicapped. So we don't want him to be the one that does it, but we see more and more. So they kind of do that with a lot of the people in this movie, where more information and my views on the people kind of stuck to my first impressions, but also it made me question my first impression quite a bit for each of these different characters that potentially could be hurting children.
Right. Honestly, there weren't even that many people in this movie when you think about it. It very much felt like a small town where there wasn't a whole lot of people. I think the most people that we see is just the search crew and they're looking for the girls out in the woods. But they really only bring into custody 2 guys for, like, as their suspects.
Yeah, they only bring in both of the...
right, the one that already
right.
got let go.
Yep.
And then this one that they find. So there's this sketchy guy who is at this candlelit vigil for the girls, and I don't really know what catches Jake Gyllenhaal's eye at first, but he sees this guy from like across, a few lawns, and he just gives him a side eye, kind of like looking at a teddy bear or something.
Yeah, this
and he
guy
looks
brought
over.
a teddy bear and was like...
He was looking
petting it.
suspicious.
He was the only person that brought a child's toy to the place where the child was taken from. So it's
Right.
kind of like, I don't know.
So he makes eye contact with Jake, and I'm just going to call him Jake now. And then he sort of backs away, and then he just starts sprinting, which you don't want to be running away from something like that because that looks really suspicious.
If he walked away from this candlelight vigil, the rest of the movie does not happen.
Right.
Or if he just blended in with the crowd, if he just
Yeah.
didn't leave.
Yeah,
Just
he
like
could've
stood
just
there.
hung
if
around.
he just
Yeah.
didn't sprint away like a weirdo,
Yeah, he
but
panicked.
considering we see the inside of his home later,
Yeah.
and considering what's in there,
He's a little
he's a weirdo.
Yeah, so he gets away initially, and somehow they, do a sketch, and somebody contacts the police, and it's someone who works at this children's clothing store who reports that they've seen him before, that he buys children's clothes and is kind of a creepy dude. So eventually they do track him down, and they do bring him into custody then at some point.
Yeah, the clerk or the cashier at that clothing store sees him again, and my guess is she acted suspicious enough for him to run away from there too, but she got the license plate this time, and he's able to find his home. And Jake's face when he opens that door, it was a little different than he approached most other things. He kind of had like an air of not like kind of haughty about him. Like he was kind of a little bit cocky
confident
about it. He thinks he got the guy, and also the fella ran away from him, and now he caught him.
Well, yeah, I mean that's super suspicious when that happens for sure.
But yeah,
what do you think about it, Steve?
Sorry,
He's
you guys are
zoning
just
out.
going off. No, but fuck, I even forget where we are.
Well, so we're kind of jumping over the other timeline. While all that is going on, the chase of the second suspect, it does jump back to Hugh Jackman and his neighbors beating the shit out of this kid, trying to figure out where their kids are. And then they also bring in the neighbor's wife, and she gets involved with the whole thing. I think that's also
okay with it.
Yeah, that's kind of also going on at the same time.
Viola Davis is gangster, all right? She's down for whatever, and reiterates it later on, saying we don't need to help him, but we also don't need to stop him either on what he's doing.
Yeah.
Whether his methods are good or bad, his intentions are finding our kids.
Right.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised she was so cool with the whole let's beat this kid to
I
death.
wasn't. That's a bad woman right there. That's a bad lady. Heck yeah.
But yeah, so after I guess they bring that second guy into custody, Jake Gyllenhaal checks out his house and he finds, a bunch of weird fucking stuff in his room. Like he's got, it looked like what, like 16, maybe 20 like black trunks just sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
With air holes cut in them and
Yeah.
Instantly we're all like, oh, if there's bodies in there.
Those are child-sized totes.
Yeah. I will say that before this, we do also find out there's a list of child
pedophiles,
yeah. And one of them on the list was a priest or something, and they found a body in his basement. All that to say, there was a necklace on this guy who they found in the priest's basement. This dead guy who had a maze necklace. That is what ties everything together in this whole movie, is this maze.
The first of two murder holes in the film.
Yeah.
But that is very quick
But
with,
it's
with the
important.
priest, and it's important.
Yeah.
And then they don't talk about it
For most of the movie.
until for a good meaty section of the film. That doesn't come back into play, almost as if to help the viewer forget about it until
it comes back and you're like, oh, that was important.
and then it's the aha moment of no way.
Yeah. So all that to say that, this other suspect kid who they break into his house, they find the trunks and everything. They also see mazes drawn on his walls. So, he cuffs the guy and starts looking through these cases, and he finds a bunch of snakes inside and bloody clothes, which, they take the clothes in and they photograph them and they have to show them to the parents, and that's an emotional moment.
That was not fun, and they made us. We only had to watch Hugh Jackman do it. We didn't have to watch both families look at these.
Yeah.
But they do tell us before we're kind of getting information as Hugh Jackman's getting it.
Yeah.
They come out, his friend and Viola Davis come out of the room very emotional.
Yeah.
So now he's thinking the worst, and our assumptions are correct. They positively identified some of their daughter's clothing.
Right.
And now he has to do the same. And they make you sit there, and the first one, no. Then another picture, no. And they do like 12 or 13.
A bunch more.
And I even said while we were watching, I was like, they're going to make us watch them look at 30 of these, and this is going to be brutal.
There's 57 of them.
And by picture number 4, we were just like, just get it over with. We want this to stop. Like, we need it to stop.
And you're just seeing all these bloody children's clothes, and you're like, oh God, oh, not another one.
Which is,
Oh, that one's got a bear on it. Damn it.
Oh, that one looks like it's for like a 3-year-old. Oh, fuck.
which
that's
is
definitely a size 2 shoe.
right. It's like where the sizes are too small and they're just letters or whatever. At
Yeah.
that point, you're like, oh no.
I didn't even know they made size E shoes.
Which is odd for a movie to make you feel that way several times. Most films that have this kind of element to it, there's 1 or 2 times where you feel like that.
Mm.
And I know I felt that same way several times throughout the movie in different situations, and they really reached in and just put a corkscrew in your heart and kept twisting it through the
really
whole movie. It
tugged.
was brutal.
Yeah.
And I'm not an emotional guy in this one. I was yelling at the TV a little bit. I was a little out of
like
character.
kids.
I was not happy. I was not happy unless they were torturing the guy.
Yeah, well, and it's really suspense in a different way than you normally get. This was trying to figure out what's happening suspense. This was the feeling you get when you see somebody getting the crap beat out of them and not knowing what's going to happen, and then the whole child abduction thing. You think they're dead. Yeah. It's like a lot of different emotions that are all terrible.
Yeah.
And it's not the camera angles or the music or the way the camera moves.
There wasn't a whole lot of
There
music
was
anyway.
hardly any music.
Yeah.
It was mostly
Sounds of rain.
yeah. It's just incredibly powerful clouds for this film.
Oh yeah, it was rainy the whole time.
But it was more slow panning. It wasn't shot like an action movie with jumpy camera and weird angles like some horror films are.
Yeah.
And even some thrillers change camera angles really fast. And even when the scenes would cut completely, it was like a slow fade to black.
Yeah.
Nothing really went like, duh, nothing changed drastically.
Yeah.
The whole film was slow and painful, as was the camera work, which I feel like really added to the ambiance of it.
Although it wasn't slow in the sense that nothing was happening, because there was so much happening this whole time.
No, the camera was moving slow. The story was
The story
was insane, and I'm going at 150 miles an hour, but
Yeah.
it just made it drag. Oh, my word.
So, Steve, do you want to talk about the scene with the second suspect and he's in custody? And
Oh, I don't want to talk about that. It's fucking sad.
I was just giving you a chance to talk.
But yeah, so like Jake Gyllenhaal must have been like watching this guy for a couple hours, like in this interrogation room, and he's just been drawing like a picture of a map. And he finally, I guess, gets to that point of like frustration where he's like, all right, I gotta go in there, I gotta talk to him. And he starts like beating him up. He's throwing him against walls. He's smashing his head into the table. And in this scuffle, like a couple cops come in to try and stop him from like assaulting their suspect. And he somehow gets a gun from was it from one of the cops, or was it
so.
Jake's gun?
I think it was one of the cops.
Because that's poor gunsmanship.
Yeah, they need to have that
Yeah,
thing
that's...
locked in.
You shouldn't be smacking somebody around with handcuffs, but also don't lose your firearm at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
to the bad guy.
I feel like that's rule number 1 for being a cop. It's like, don't let the bad guy take your gun.
Yeah.
Don't hand out your guns.
It's your one thing. But this guy gets the gun, and of course, instantly he turns it on himself, and just, as the kids say, he unalived himself very quickly.
That's what the kids say.
Yeah, you have to bleep it out now. You can't say it.
Yeah, he shot himself in the face. I'll say it. I'm an adult. He
You
killed
still
himself.
didn't say the S
We
word.
we got to say, and we got to see the inside of his mind all
Yeah.
over a window.
His thoughts were on the
Oh
wall.
my god!
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those things. Like, because after it comes out of who this guy actually was in the context of this story, like you're just like, oh man, dude, I would have shot myself too.
Yeah,
Knowing
it's,
what he
100%.
probably saw and what he was a
Yeah.
part of, I would have shot myself too.
yeah. So basically, after that happens, they go on to look further into the blood that was on the kid's clothes, and they search his house. And they looking for bodies, and they come up with nothing. And at that point, they're like, how could this kid not be involved? Because why else would he shoot himself in the interrogation room if he wasn't guilty of something?
Yeah, innocent people tend to not shoot themselves in interrogation rooms.
No.
Right.
And also both sets of parents identified their child's clothing
Right.
from photos taken in the dude's house. So how on earth? Now it has been established that he bought kids' clothes at that store, which is creepy. It's legal, but it's not normal behavior.
It's also shown that he liked to go into the houses of both of these children that got abducted, and he went into their house and left, and you saw that happen. Only the camera saw this. The characters did not see this, but he was in their houses, and you don't really understand why that was until a little bit later. And yeah, you find out that I guess he took their clothes. Maybe he was trying to... He was taking their clothes from their houses, so maybe he was trying, I don't know, to bring them comfort or something, to like console these children. I don't know.
I think he was trying to get the heat off of people looking for these kids.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to make it seem like they're dead, so the cops stop looking for them, and the mom, or the aunt who actually did take these kids, could keep them, for as long as she wanted.
Yeah.
Which we don't get a reason why she kept the kids, and I'm okay with that because the movie was disturbing enough, and we didn't need any weird, like, she dressed them up or did something sexual with the children. We didn't need any more gross information. Taking kids was enough. I'm glad they didn't dogpile onto the depravity.
Yeah, she does give her reasoning. But at this point, it's basically kind of getting close to the point where Hugh Jackman is not getting anywhere with this kid that he abducted. And for some reason, he decides to go back to the aunt's house. So the blonde kid's, the first suspect, his aunt, or what I guess we think is his aunt. I don't know if it was actually his aunt.
Yeah, she says they adopted Alex.
But I think that was a cover.
Yeah, I mean it's horseshit, but that's what she tells you.
Right. It's pooey, but
so Hugh Jackman ends up getting involved with this aunt, and the first time he goes to her house, they just talk, and I don't really think much happens. He gets a little information or something.
Right. So eventually, after several days of torture, basically, he does say, what's he say? He says you'll find them at the maze or in the maze.
Yeah, this kid. Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to the aunt. And casually brings up, he says, I've been having this dream. I'm in a maze and I just can't get out. To which she responds a little bit, but not enough that we suspect her yet. Yeah. And it's not until later on where we start to have our doubts with her. I didn't like her from the beginning. I didn't like her face.
Let's make that clear.
I didn't like how dimly lit her house was. I didn't like that broken car in the backyard. I didn't like any of it from the get-go. But I had no reason other than I didn't like her face.
I'm just sad at this second, meeting with her that Hugh Jackman has, where he shows up with all of his tools. Like, I'm like, what the hell? Like, there was a part of me that thought he was going there because he was actually the abductor and he was just trying to cover his tracks and like kill the kid that he abducted and this aunt, just to like cover all bases. Like anybody I talk to about this, they have to die.
Everybody just turns into a Hugh Jackman slasher.
Yeah, like I thought he was like insane throughout this whole thing.
Well, that's a good point, Steve, because they do almost blame him a little bit. So I think just before this second scene with the aunt, the other little girl they find her.
Yeah, the neighbor's daughter gets found.
They find her, and the only thing that she says in the hospital room to Hugh Jackman, who is of course like pressuring this little girl with questions.
He's like, wake up,
Yeah.
you fucker.
Where is my daughter?
It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
even the nurse is like, you can't do this
be
right
doing
now.
Yeah.
this.
she says, you were there. And that is the one moment where you're like, wait a minute.
We were like,
Yeah,
huh?
where did
Wait,
he
what did
go
he-
that
what?
nobody else went?
We've
It's
been
like,
Yeah.
following Hugh Jackman most of this film. Like, how
Yeah.
how have we missed so much?
Right.
like there was a lot of cuts to black, but I didn't think they were going to start doing like dream sequences.
Right?
Yeah,
It didn't seem like that much
Yeah.
chunk of time
Like,
was
oh,
missing.
he blacks
Yeah.
out and abducts kids. It's like, what the fuck?
And one of them
yeah.
he made. So like,
Oh.
out of convenience, it was him and his neighbors at this point.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, all that to say that he was slightly suspected, I guess, a little bit at that
Yeah.
point.
So that's kind of what got me thinking, like, oh, he's going to run to this aunt's house, kill her, and then kill, the kid she adopted.
Yeah,
and,
he's
like,
just a murderer. on
Yeah,
the
and then
loose.
just be like done with the whole investigation. But like, yeah, like he walks into this house and she's got this towel over her hand, and Michael's like, oh, her hand's not hurt. There's no way her hand's hurt.
She's got a gun.
Yeah,
What- how could she possibly
I
hurt
called
her
it
hand?
so hard. I was like, she didn't burn herself. She makes tea every day. She
Yeah.
didn't burn herself. She's got a gun.
Yeah.
And sure enough, this lady
bitch
who
had a
I have
gun.
not liked for an hour and 40 minutes had a gun,
She had a gun.
and gets the drop on Hugh Jackman.
Although I will say he had his back turned to her while he was giving his little speech about
Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
dumb move on
mhm.
his end.
dumb move. You should have had that gun already in your pocket,
Like,
making eye contact with her.
If I have my back turned to, Michael, who's obviously the murderer in this situation, if I have my back
This
to him,
hypothetical situation.
I'm not going to start making idle threats to Michael while I can't see what he's doing. I'm not going to be like,
No.
hey, Michael, when I turn around, you're in big trouble, Bubba.
That's so true. That's so sloppy of
Yeah.
me.
It's very
It's so
Yeah,
sloppy.
it's
of me.
like, I have a gun in here, but I'm going to have to turn around to use it. But just know when I turn around, some bad stuff is going to happen. I
And
hope
then
you're
you
not behind me, like doing something sneaky or whatever.
It's like
Turn
where
around
the
and ask
where
him.
the villain reveals the plot
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
the
he just starts
superhero
monologuing.
before he's killed or
Yeah.
even tied up. It's like, oh, there's still a chance for you to leave, but I need you to know the whole reason behind it.
He's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take your eyelids off so you can't see what I'm about to do to you. And she's already got the gun trained on him, and he's like,
Yeah.
ah, shit,
He's
my
like,
plan has
"Ah."
been foiled.
Now, looking back, we're not privy to what's in his head, and
True.
Privy.
he goes there saying he wants to make penance, but he is wary. He's much more wary of his surroundings, or not so much since he had his back to her.
And he
But-
definitely seems more panicked when he comes to the door
Right.
that time. Like
Do
he
you-
doesn't
It was a
know what he
very
was there
different
for.
mentality.
Do you think that he knew based on what that little girl
Oh
said?
yeah,
Yeah.
Like I
Like,
think that's
you
the
were
whole
there.
reason he went.
Looking back,
Yeah.
and that's like the sixth time we're given information that doesn't make sense until it makes sense at the time, but it makes even more sense in a different situation later on. Just like
Right.
the title of the film, they do
Yeah.
this several times throughout, and this is another one of those times where we heard it, we're not given information. It causes us to question everything we thought, because like Steve said, this could have turned into a Hugh Jackman slasher film, and
Could
it would
have
have
been Wolverine again.
It would have been story okay. They could have done that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and
she gets the drop on him, and that's it.
right. I don't think that was the point, is to make Hugh Jackman the villain.
Yeah,
this
I
whole
much
time.
prefer Satanistic ants
Yeah.
Right.
to Slasher Jackman.
Now, I will say, these films where there's a religious connotation to the evil, the evil's like always worse. Like it's always,
Yeah.
it's not just like, oh, I go around and I steal your dog and then sell it. It's like I kidnap children to make the parents lose faith because God took our son. I'm going to take other people's children so that they turn their back on God. And religious fanatics have been known to do some extreme stuff, and murdering children fits very well into the category of extreme.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, mm-hmm.
yeah, there's stealing and then there's child murder. And then
Yeah.
I prefer regular murder over child murder. It's
Jeez,
like
at least let them be 18 years
Right?
old if you're going to.
if it's an adult, it's like,
They
whatever.
can vote, they're allowed to die.
Oh, they signed up for the draft. Well, that's fine.
They have a fighting chance.
They started paying
Oh,
taxes.
my word.
Ugh.
And there always is. The priest was involved. It's a religious connotation, and it just puts this extra layer of on that
Yeah.
because
Grossness.
most religions you're supposed to be a good person and
Well, yeah,
make the
it's-
world happier and a better place. Not
Especially
Yeah,
because
but
they
there's
made
evil
the
within.
priest one of the sex offenders.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, at that point we thought, oh, geez,
yeah,
it's going to
like,
go in
oh
a point
man,
of,
we're going down this road too.
it's like
Yeah.
they've made
Jesus.
several movies like this. Also, that's kind of like beating a dead horse.
Yeah. But basically this aunt, has been involved. Like her husband was this ex serial killer who, went crazy and confessed to this priest that we're talking about.
But said he was bragging.
Yeah.
Right? They
Yeah.
said he was bragging about it. Ugh.
16 children or something.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So this is her like evil villain monologue and she starts making Hugh Jackman drink this like purple Kool-Aid.
Puts on handcuffs.
It's a cool. What I call it, the Kool-Aid from hell.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid from hell.
Ketamine or something,
Oh
make
my
you
God.
sleepy.
Yeah, but it's basically she wants him to drink this so he's easier to manage. Like he's like in a weakened state and she can kind of control him.
Yeah.
But she walks him outside. She leads him to these like pits that she has hidden under this old car. And she's basically telling him like, hey, you either get in that hole or I'm going to kill you. And he's like, well, you're going to kill me because I'm not getting in that hole. And of course she just gives him the warning shot into the thigh.
Yeah.
Which is
I was like, you're going to kill the guy anyway. Just fucking kill him. Like,
Yeah, and then he gets in the hole anyway, and I'm like, I'd at least put up a fight.
yeah,
to
like
this
after
old
one
lady.
shot, she's not going to kill you. She just
Yeah.
wants you alive so she can torture you. So you might as well either go after her and die or wait to get tortured and die.
Right?
which is odd because she has the stomach to kill children
yeah, but not
But
a
and then
full
Hugh
grown man.
Jackman.
keep some of them and break their brains with ketamine Kool-Aid.
Ugh.
But you can't. Well, I wouldn't want to shoot Hugh Jackman either.
I mean,
but
he's
I'd
got
rather
dreamy
shoot
eyes.
Hugh Jackman over a 6-year-old girl.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, Hugh. We're shooting you.
I think he
sorry,
missed.
buddy.
Sorry, man. We love,
Love
you.
you in Wolverine.
We love you in everything you've ever done. But I'm murdering you over a child every time.
Yeah.
He missed his opportunity when, like Michael said, well, it's going to take like 20 minutes to really kick in.
Yeah, you got 22 minutes for that to
yeah.
metabolize.
So he had a window of opportunity where she was leading him outside, and it's like he almost like crossed paths with her at one point where, they're within arm's length of each other. And yes, he was handcuffed, but I think he could have grabbed the gun with the hands that were in front of his face and knocked her down or kicked her knee in or something. Like,
listen.
he could have taken her down.
Your hands are handcuffed. That gives you 2 beaters for the price of 1. You throw
What?
one punch, you're hitting her with 2 fists.
Yeah, I think he could have knocked the gun out of her hand at any point here, but he was trying to play the cool game. He was trying to not screw things up.
He still hadn't
But-
seen his daughter yet.
Yeah, so
Right.
he was
had
trying
no
to
proof
see
of
it.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, Hugh Jackman's not a small man. This
Yeah.
was a small woman.
Yeah.
I
Like,
He,
think-
he could have taken her.
I think he could have taken her with handcuffs,
considering what he did
even
to
after
her,
a couple gut shots.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Like after what he did to her son, like I can only imagine what he would have done to her if given the opportunity.
Yeah.
Like knowing full well that she's the murderer. Like he probably
Yeah.
would have like
He
he would have
would've
given you
went
what you
crazy.
wanted, like
Oh.
pieces of the face coming off, like
Yeah.
a couple
I'm just-
eyeballs for a necklace.
I
you
did.
know?
I did want pieces of that ant to start coming off.
Yeah, I'm just sad he didn't get a swing at her at least once.
I know. It's,
Yeah.
and then her end it just made me angry a little bit.
But yeah, anyway, he gets in the pit and she closes it up, drives the car back over it
Yeah, and
so he's just down
stuck
there. with a hole in his leg.
And at this time, Jake Gyllenhaal has found the kid Hugh Jackman kidnapped and was torturing and set him free. And his captain was like, hey, you got to go tell the aunt, that we found him and he's okay. So, he's like, dude, I don't want to do that. And
Right.
captain's like, no. You're done investigating. You got to go. So he goes there, and it's, he gets into the house and he sees this picture of that necklace maze that he keeps seeing and that the one suspect drew. So he's
on the photo of what we know is her husband.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they made that connection at any point before that.
Yeah, no.
No, we saw the photo of the husband, and we saw the necklace on the body.
Yeah.
But this is the first time, again, we're given the pieces, but that last thing to connect it is held out on us for like another hour.
Yeah, basically.
And was this the point where we paused this a few times, and if you're going to go watch this film, you're probably going to need to take a couple emotional breaks, which we went to the bathroom and took a breather, and that was
Got a new
good
drink.
because this was exhausting to watch, and we all really like movies.
Yeah.
And we all like some kind of sick and twisted films, and this one was rough for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So watch with more than the runtime. Give yourself some breaks. Drink lots of water.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
Think
is
happy thoughts.
this is really the last point of the movie where the pieces are connected now for him when he sees the guy's picture with the necklace with the maze. So he starts to get suspicious. He pulls his gun out because he knows something's going on. He also let himself into the house because he wasn't getting a response from this lady.
Yeah, you're allowed to do that when you're a hot-blooded cop.
He had set a precedent of playing fast and loose with "I'm coming into your house."
Yeah.
This is not the first time, but we're expecting it now, and we want him to because of the information we have that we know he doesn't have yet. We're like, no, we're okay with you bending the rules, getting in there now.
This is the part in movies that I always hate, when the villain is about to do the bad thing and the cop is there and he's almost to the room to stop the bad person, but they're just like slowly walking through the house, and I'm like, dude, this is a serious situation.
Move
Walk
faster.
with some fucking urgency.
Well, you got to be a little cautious.
He's got to be tactical, Steve. He's got to be tactical.
So yeah,
It is painful though.
Yes.
Yeah.
To see how slow he walks. It is very painful.
And she's loading up a needle as we speak. I'm guessing
death
it's
Kool-Aid.
like a lethal dose of something to kill this little girl, because she also says to Hugh Jackman, "I want you to be alive when I throw your daughter's body in the pit with you." Like,
right. And she kind of knows we can't know for sure, but I feel like we can safely assume that she knows the jig is up.
yeah.
At this point, we know the story's about to end, and at this point I'm waiting for her to get killed. I want this lady to die. It's been an hour and 20 minutes of me wanting her to die. Please, somebody kill this awful lady.
Yeah, so he finally catches her down on the ground. He's yelling at her to put her hands up, and I think she maybe got a little bit of whatever she was trying to inject in this little girl into her
something got in
arm.
there.
And then she doesn't get the full dose in. She stands up, but she pulls her gun, and
Yeah, Jake freaking pops her.
yeah, he pops her. She gets one shot on him, grazes his face, and then he gets another shot and she goes down.
Yeah,
So he's bleeding out, trying to save this little girl.
Yeah, so he grabs her and instantly puts her in the car. He's rushing off to the hospital. Almost
This
gets in like
scene-
50 fucking accidents.
This scene was the most
This was bad. It was,
heart
oh my
racing.
word.
So he is bleeding out. He hasn't slept for 7 days. This little girl is dying. It is raining, like freezing rain. It's nighttime. There's traffic. And he is going 80 miles an hour down like a 4-lane highway with a little girl. He's dying. I thought he was going to get in a car accident. I
Yeah.
thought something terrible was going to happen. I was just waiting for the worst.
Yeah, but he gets her to the hospital, and we get another cut to black. Little girl's fine. We get I guess a couple days after everybody's recovered, and they bring the little girl to see Jake Gyllenhaal and say her thank yous, and I'm safe and feeling good. And then Jake is like, we're still looking for your husband, by the way. Like, we're gonna find him, and if we do, he's probably going to jail for fucking torture and kidnapping.
Yeah.
And one, so I can add something about the car chase scene. They did the focus on the windshield, not the road, several times, which kind of, it's very uncomfortable to not see where someone else is driving.
Oh, yeah.
And that the focusing on the rain on the windshield and not the road ahead was kind of indicative of him going in and out of consciousness.
Yeah.
But once he makes it there, he gets another burst of energy and takes her in. But I digress.
Cool.
She's okay, says thanks you. And then Hugh Jackman's wife asks, her friend, hey, can you take her? I'd like a moment with the detective. And that's where she states that I know you don't believe me, but he hasn't contacted me.
Yeah.
And he says he believes her. I want to believe him, but I'm not sure.
You have to believe him. He's in a hole.
Well,
under a car. Of course he didn't contact
Michael,
her.
did you forget that?
My God.
No, I know. But I'm saying from Jake's point of view.
Oh, you're saying
I hope that he believed her, but at the same time, because of what he knows about her husband and everything that's happened, that puts a little doubt in his mind. But again, he tells her, I believe you, just like he told her, I'm going to find your daughter. And these are things that we want to believe, but we can't know for sure until it happens type thing. So that was another interesting kind of placating Hugh Jackman's wife, which happens quite a bit throughout the film, just to try and keep her sanity almost.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a quick little moment. And obviously we know that he's in a hole. So, of course, our thought process is going towards, well, are they going to find him? Which leads you into that last sort of scene where they're searching the house. They're looking, basically at this point, they're looking for bodies to just get a count on how many children she killed in the past, or her and her husband.
Right.
So it's late at night and they're digging in the ground. And the guys doing the digging are saying, well, it's too frozen. We got to close up for the night. So they shut down all their machinery, which was kind of making like a humming noise in the background. So you couldn't really hear any quiet noises.
They had a speaker playing music.
Yeah, and they like turn off all the lights that were buzzing.
Which I thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah.
While hey, I'm digging for corpses of children. Let's put
Then you
on
just hear,
some
I'm
smooth
on
jazz.
the highway to hell.
Some smooth jazz in the background as we try to dig up murdered children. It was kind of weird. But they state that they only find snakes and the ground's too hard.
Yeah.
It's going to take a week to excavate this whole property.
But yeah, so when they first show Hugh Jackman in the hole, they do show that he found a whistle on the ground, and it was his daughter's whistle. So I said at this point, I'm like, he's gonna be blowing that whistle. He's gonna hear Hugh Jackman in that hole blowing that whistle, and the last thing that you see in the very last scene is, or the last thing you hear, is just the faintest whistling, and Jake Gyllenhaal is the only one who hears it. And at first he's like, nah, that's nothing. Maybe it's just the wind, whatever. And then you hear it again. And you just see in his face like, what? What is that? And then it just cuts to credits.
And like the rest of the film, they make you wait for it too. Like you can see him standing there thinking about everything that's happened. And it's probably a good 12 seconds before... It realistically, it's
exactly
probably
6 to 12 seconds, Michael.
Realistically, it's probably like 3, but just like everything else in the film, it felt like an hour went by, and then you hear the whistle a couple times, and then
that was it.
That's it.
Yeah, but yeah, that's Prisoners.
Yeah,
fucking sad.
Steve, do you think that they found Hugh Jackman in the hole?
I think they found what's left of Hugh Jackman in the hole.
I think it was
he
clinging
had some
to
friends
life.
down there, like the mole men are down there with him, and they blew the whistle to try and get him out.
As we try to lighten this very heavy podcast, we promise we'll do some more lighthearted fare
maybe next
in the
week
future.
will be a more fun movie.
None of us had seen this though.
Yeah.
And
it was good.
It was
I would
fantastic.
Recommends all around for this one.
One other question. Do you think that even though Hugh Jackman, his character, he was going to be going to jail for what he did, do you think they lessened his jail time because he was a victim and was put in a hole for days on end?
On account of being in a hole for 3 days.
We'll take a few years
we'll
off
take
your
you from
sentence.
25 years to 13 and a half.
Well, they do that sometimes.
Yeah,
If you become a victim in that case, I don't know.
That's fine. And he was kind of right.
He was kind of right.
He
was involved.
Yeah.
He had information.
He was mostly right.
But he did a wrong thing.
He was mostly right, and I do not agree with his methods at all. But since it wasn't me, I was rooting
for Hugh Jackman.
We were rooting for Hugh Jackman. We did not agree with his methods. They were effective as both children came home safe, and all the other kids either were turned into vegetables or were killed.
True.
So
that is true.
The precedent was death or mental deficiency, and they both seemed like they did make a point to show. They said about Hugh Jackman's daughter, she'll be fine and she'll be up and around in a couple days, and the other girl was standing up, so they did seem okay. And I'm not really disappointed that we didn't see what happened to Hugh Jackman, because he probably would have ended up in a different type of cage if he survived.
True, yeah. I think he would have still gone to prison.
Yeah. He would have had to pay for.
Oh, yeah.
That's not okay to do to other people.
No.
But yeah, so I guess let's just close this out.
we'll do
more sadness.
We'll do more fun stuff in the future.
Yeah.
We promise that we're gonna do like 18 happy movies, because this was, in one word, heavy.
Maybe we'll do John Wick next time and just see some people who actually deserve.
We need to do Mary
lighthearted,
Poppins.
Steve.
We need to do Mary Poppins, then
Lighthearted.
3 Disney animated classics that don't have to deal with like mothers dying, which was a lot of it.
All right. Well, from all of us at Every Film in the Book, we hope you're happier than we are right now. We'll see you guys next time.
We're all going to be
Bye.
sad for a week.